Okay, so for this model, we're going to look at our lungs and some internal structures. So starting off, we've got our right lung. You can see the superior, middle, and inferior lobes. And when you get closer up to the model, we have superior, middle, inferior. You can't really see the middle from the posterior aspect, so you just see superior and inferior. Then we have our left lung with our superior lobe. That's going to have the cardiac notch, and then our inferior lobe of the left lung. Moving on, we have our hyoid bone, number 1. 4 over here is our thyroid membrane. 2 is our thyroid cartilage. 3 is cricoid cartilage or cricoid, however you want to say it. 11, this is just our trachea, obviously. Moving down, we have, if we follow the trachea down, we can branch into our primary bronchi. So we have our right and our left. And then, obviously we'd go into segmental or segmented, so lobar into segmental, there we go. But we're not going to focus on that right here. For vasculature, let's do the superior vena cava. Obviously we're flowing out to in with this, but I'm going to follow it from here on out. So superior vena cava, we have our brachiocephalic, our left brachiocephalic vein into our left subclavian vein and our left internal jugular vein. Then we have our right brachiocephalic, our right internal jugular, and our right subclavian vein going out here. For arteries, we would have the ascending aorta. I've taken that out for right now. Ascending into the arch of the aorta. First, we have our brachiocephalic trunk. Then we have our left common carotid. Ooh, really had to think about that. That's bad. Left common carotid is number 40, and then left subclavian artery is number 41. You can also see the esophagus. I think this model, the guide for this model calls it the oesophagus. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't pay attention in class. And then we have our diaphragm, and you can see the 2 domes of the diaphragm. Going back up to the larynx, first we've got our superior laryngeal nerve. Ooh, had to think about that. Superior laryngeal nerve gets our superior laryngeal artery, and then as it comes down, it branches into the superior thyroid artery. And then we have our thyroid gland right here, and oops, we have our parathyroid gland that's indicated by number 6. So there, I think, is another right there. Now looking internally, first number 7, that is our laryngeal vestibule. Number 8, that is the vocal fold, also called the true vocal cord. 9, right below it, is our false vocal cord, or more specifically called the vestibular fold. 20, I think that's a 20, is that a 10? I don't know. Anyways, it's supposed to be showing us the ventricle of the larynx. So it's that space, I guess. And then the last thing that I'd want to say is that remember that the glottis is the space between the vocal folds. So it includes the vocal folds, both the left and right, but it's that space. And then our epiglottis is all the way coming up here, right there. Okay, so we're going to look at external structures of the heart anteriorly and then posteriorly. So anterior, we have the superior vena cava, we have the right auricle of the right atrium, so right ventricle. 47 is going to be the right coronary artery right here. Can't actually see that. Is that 78 or 48? I can't tell the number right there. But anyways, that is supposed to be the anterior interventricular branch, so our widowmaker. And then we have our left auricle over the left atrium, so left ventricle over here, down to the apex of the left ventricle. Most anteriorly, we have the pulmonary trunk going up. Right behind it, we have the ascending aorta or aortic trunk. And then I think that's it for our anterior structures. Goodness, posteriorly, this is not working, okay. Posteriorly, we have first the coronary sinus, number 50, so right there. We have the left pulmonary veins right here, bringing oxygenated blood back to the left ventricle. The right pulmonary veins doing the same thing, back to that left ventricle. Then we have our left pulmonary artery and our right pulmonary artery. We have our superior vena cava again, and this structure right here is where the azygos or azygos, however you say it, where the azygos vein is dumping into the superior vena cava. So this is our inferior vena cava, and then, let's see, I think that's it. That's listed on the model guide, but it might be a good idea to just go back and review all of the different branches of the coronary arteries and their corresponding veins. Internally, if we follow the flow of blood, we're coming through the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava, dumping into the right atrium. You can see the fossa ovalis or ovale, depending on who you talk to. And then as blood flows down through the tricuspid valve, it enters into the right ventricle. I think on the diagram it was saying that this number 30 is to indicate the right ventricle, but I also wonder if maybe it's also indicating the moderator band, but oh well, who knows. Let's see, we've got our interventricular septum right here, really thick. Following up, we get to the pulmonary trunk, where we have our pulmonic valve. Following the pulmonary trunk up, if we pretend like we've already become oxygenated, we're coming back into the left ventricle, and you can see the openings for those pulmonary arteries coming back into the left ventricle. Sorry, left atrium. Ooh, wowzers. Following that down, we come through the mitral or bicuspid valve into the left ventricle with the very thick walls, 2 times as thick. And then we come up through, this is just fantastic. You can see the aortic valve into the ascending aorta, which would then follow on to the arch of the aorta.